We just want to welcome you this morning from wherever you are calling from. I do know that we have people dialing in from all over the country right now and in from Canada. And so again, we just want to welcome everyone during these crazy, crazy, crazy times, and certainly unprecedented times. And this morning, we're going to get started. We've got a very special guest, and I want to encourage all of you to grab a piece of paper and pen, and make sure that you guys get some sort of a writing device or what have you so that we can take some notes, or you can take some notes. So without any further ado, I want to get started with my PowerPoint presentation here real quick. And we've got, there we go, we got our PowerPoint going. All right. So let's go ahead and get started here. First of all, for those of you that don't have my contact information or any of my information, I wanted you to just take your cell phone right now or whatever kind of device, if you have a camera on it. And what I want you to do is I want you to go up onto this screen and I want you to take a picture of this, right? Because this is my contact information. And this is kind of like the modern day, business card. This is kind of like what we've got going on nowadays. And so I want to make sure that you use something like this. I think the days of everyone now having a business card and you handing out business cards are kind of becoming obsolete. It's becoming extinct, and this is like the new card. And so whenever I go out places today, I actually have this QR code actually on the front page of my cell phone. And then what I do is when people say, hey, I'd like to get your business card, I just take my phone and say, hey, do me a favor, grab your phone and take a picture of this. And this is my contact information, and feel free to reach out to me. And then as soon as I'm talking, they go, whoa, that's so cool. They'll start to interrupt and say, how did you do that? And how do I get one of those for myself? And all that kind of stuff. So here's what I'm going to do at the very end of my presentation here today. I want to go ahead and leave some directions on how you can actually get this QR code and create one for yourself. It's absolutely free. There's no cost associated with it. It'll probably take you maybe 3 minutes to create one. And I'm going to give you instructions and a place that you can go and actually create a QR code for yourself. So I'm going to put that in at the end of my presentation. So stay tuned and don't go anywhere. And for those of you that are here for the very, very first time, you might be asking yourself, who is this Asian guy that looks pretty crazy here with this goatee, and we're listening to him, and who is this guy? So I always hate to talk about myself, and mainly because I don't want this whole webinar to be about me. I don't want to sound braggadocious. I am, believe it or not, a private person. I don't like to go and flaunt, I guess, my fortune. I guess is the way I kind of say it. I feel always uncomfortable talking about myself, but I wanted to give you an idea of who I am so that I have some credibility, so that during this presentation you kind of feel like I can provide you some value. But for me, just so you guys know, I started off as an entrepreneur back in 1995. And I think I've always been an entrepreneur. I just never had anybody to teach me how to become an entrepreneur. And then in 1996, I read this book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Written in 1937. This is an absolute timeless classic piece that during these crazy times, I want to encourage you to go to Amazon and buy this book and read it, or listen to it on audio, get it on Kindle. And this book, just so you know, is now sold over 200 million copies around the world. It is the #1 selling book on the face of this planet. In fact, other than the Bible, okay, I'm not getting religious with you here today. Maybe that's another day. I haven't been called yet to give sermons yet, but who knows, that day may come. It's all up to the man upstairs and what his purpose is for me. But right now, I just want you guys to know that this, from a business standpoint, is literally the #1 sold book. In fact, only 5 books have ever sold over 100 million copies since 1937. And most of you have probably seen a movie called The Twilight Saga. That was one of them. Another one's called Harry Potter. Another one is Lord of the Rings. And of course, this book right here, and then the Bible. That's it, only 5 books on this planet that you can count literally on one hand has sold over 100 million copies. Well, I read this book, and and it absolutely changed my life. It changed my wife's life. And then, you know, they revised this. This is kind of like not revised. This is actually the unedited version of Napoleon Hill's creation. And a few years in the 1990s, a few years later, well, I'm not sure what happened here. It's like different things popping up. Let's see here. Oh, well, let's see. Let's take about, let me just kind of go back here real fast. One of my slides are out of place. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna take that slide over there. Sorry, guys. The way it should go is here. Sorry about that. Just giving my presentation away. All right, so in the 1990s, this book called Think and Grow Rich, a Black choice came out, and then after that, another version came out called Think and Grow Rich, a Latino choice, and then Sharon Lechter. Many of you have read her book called Rich Dad Poor Dad, and Sharon Lechter actually wrote a version of Think and Grow Rich for women. And all these books right here, just so you know, you don't have to be Black, Latino, or a woman to read these books. In fact, I've read every single one of those books, and they're all incredible. They provide tremendous, tremendous value. And I, you know, went to the Napoleon Hill Foundation and asked them to give me the rights to make the Asian version of this. And so this is the book that came out. It's called Think and Grow Rich, an Asian Choice. And then shortly after that, you know, I went back to the Napoleon Hill Foundation and actually got the rights to get the right to make the movie. So I actually made the movie, and it's called Think and Grow Rich, The Legacy. And if you want to watch this, you can actually go to johnshinmovie.com. It's only $5. You can download it and watch it. And it's a great family movie. In fact, I highly encourage you to watch it with your children. And all these things, you know, have happened to me. And sometimes, you know, when you pray, and like times like right now, I know many of you have been in prayer, and you've been praying and you've been asking for things, right? Maybe, you know, you've been asking for things, and you have to ask yourself, you know, you ever wonder that maybe God may be sending you what you're asking for in a different package, right? So, you know, you might be asking, you know, your Heavenly Father to send you $1 million. And I don't know, maybe he will just miraculously, you know, put $1 million in a briefcase and send it to your house FedEx, right? I don't know, you know, but I don't think that's really going to happen in my opinion, but I think that God works in mysterious ways. And I really do believe, and again, I'm not here to preach, but I do believe that he may be sending you what you're requesting for in a different package. And I think that maybe this call or this webinar this morning or this afternoon, depending on where you're at, could be what you've been asking for, you know, who knows? And you know, when I was at the lowest point of my life, you know, and I was like literally broke. I mean, I had close to $500,000 in credit card debt and student loans and all sorts of stuff. And, you know, I was always asking, hey, God, I said, if you could just send me $1 million, I'll be one of your greatest disciples ever, you know? And I mean, the first thing he did is he sent me a beautiful wife. And we've now been married for almost 27 years now. We're going on 27 years. So, you know, she introduced me to entrepreneurship, and, you know, all these wonderful things have happened to us. And so people always ask me, one of the questions, how did this happen to you, right? It didn't happen to me, happened for me. And what happened is that I asked really quickly without fear. I learned to ask without fear. And I think that many of you on this webinar don't have the courage to ask for help. Right. And I just want you to know that when you do ask for help, it's not that we think that you're incompetent, right? There's nothing, it has nothing to do with competency. It's just, you know, we cannot be the best of everything, right? You can't be the best, you know, marketing person, the best salesperson, the best financial person, the best IT person, the best, you know, of everything. You know, you have your skills that your creator blessed you with. And so I learned how to ask without fear. And I never had a thought in my mind that it had to do with my competency. Okay. And so what ended up happening is, you know, I got this book, and then we revised it, and then we revised it again. And this is what's actually out now on Amazon, is the one on the far right-hand corner. And it's been doing extremely well because This actually came out at the same time a movie called Crazy Rich Asians came out. And what ended up happening is when you go on to Amazon and you actually look at, try to get this movie called How Rich Asians Think, Crazy Rich Asians, this book called How Rich Asians Think pops up, and it sells with the book. So again, it all happened with timing and all that kind of stuff. And I just want you to know that I have been blessed to share the stage with people like Condoleezza Rice, the former Secretary of State. In my movie called Think and Grow Rich, a lady named Barbara Corcoran, who is one of the sharks on a TV show called The Shark Tank. I got Martin Sheen, who I'm now sitting on a board called the Manny Pacquiao Foundation. And so, you know, we do tremendous work out in the Philippines. A good friend of mine named Rob Deerdick, we're doing things like that, wonderful things with him because we met on the movie. This is Stedman Graham. I don't know if you guys all know who Stedman Graham is, but Stedman Graham is, I guess, Oprah Winfrey's boyfriend or spiritual partner, if you would. And if you actually look in the scene behind, that's actually a picture of me and him in my house. So he actually flew out here from Chicago. And Stedman, you know, when people look at this picture, for those of you that have never met me, I'm only about like 5'8", right? And Stedman is a very tall man. He's like 6'6", 6'7". He used to be a former basketball player. And people always say, how is it that you're actually taller than him in this picture? And it's really simple because I got myself a chair, you know, so I can stand beside this man. So that's how he is. And of course, in the background, that's my son walking behind us, photo bombing. But what's really interesting is if you look behind my son up on the wall, that French doors, you'll see paper up on the window of my glass. Now that's in my family room, just so you know. And what I have there is my game plan, right? It's my plan, it's my strategy, it's my, you know, it's like, how am I going to go and tackle my goals and my dreams? So I have, you know, everything on my wall that I can see every day to remind me of what it is that I want to do with my life, right? With my business, with my family, our goals. And so, so it's important that during these crazy times that you take some opportunities with your family and figure out what is your game plan in 2020. You know, I've met guys like Steve Aoki, right? And, you know, that's a couple good friends of mine. That's Adriana and Ralph standing beside Steve Aoki and my wife right there. Isn't she beautiful? She's beautiful. And then, and this is Mario Lopez. And Mario actually read my book and loved it, brought me on his show called Listen to Mario. And I want to encourage you to go and listen to his podcast show. In fact, my show on his podcast is the #1 show on his podcast. And now we're going to be working together and co-authoring a book together. And now we're hosting shows and events together. I started to go on a world tour called the Think and Grow Rich World Tour. Obviously, we've postponed that recently due to the pandemic. But amazing things, people that I've met around the world because of all these things that have happened to me. And one of the greatest things that ever happened to me was last year, September 14th. I was approached by a royal family in Spain, and they actually wanted to knight my wife and I. So I am officially, so people say, how come people call you Sir John Shin? Are you a knight or something? And I say, yeah, I am. And then of course, they're kind of shocked. You know, some Asian guy was knighted, you know, by a Spanish royal family. But I was knighted by the Royal Order of Constantine the Great and St. Helen. And there's some amazing people I met there. And I think that maybe some of them on this webinar right now, right? And this is my wife getting damed. And so she's now a lady. And so again, the question really is, how did this all happen to us? And I want you guys to know this all happened to us because we understood this concept called timing. And timing is everything, being at the right place at the right time. And if you look at this schedule here, you know, in the 1940s, you know, the industry that was doing extremely well was the baby industry, you know, Gerber Food and Johnson & Johnson. And that's really because of the baby boomers, right? The babies were born and they now started this whole trend, and everything that the demand of what these baby boomers wanted is really what's driven the market. And so I want you guys to see this trend and this cycle as these babies now wanted toys, right? And this when Mattel Corporation came and Hasbro. And then shortly after that, it was the fast food industry, and McDonald's emerged, and then they revolutionized the distribution of fast food. Then the auto industry came, and there was a company called Chrysler, and a guy named Lee Iacocca came and rescued them. And then, you know, when they asked him what the secret was and how he bailed Chrysler Corporation out of financial turmoil, it was because he said he built a car and targeted the baby boom generation. And then shortly after that was the technology industry. And after that, it was the real estate industry. And after that, here we are. We're now in the year 2020, and we're now here in the financial service industry, and retirement is key. Let me just tell you, I should probably put another slide in here, but you know, there's a lot of people, a lot of great business people who are now getting into the financial service industry. There's no secret about the financial service industry. It's just that people like Will Smith right now are now purchasing life insurance companies. Jay-Z and Beyonce are now buying an insurance company, right? Mark Wahlberg is now going into the financial service industry. So, you know, when all these different people that have tremendous amount of wealth are starting to see that maybe there's something here, I would encourage you to take a look at the financial service industry. You were invited here this morning. Either maybe you saw one of my posts on Facebook or Instagram, and maybe you have a friend or a family member or coworker who said, you got to jump on this webinar this morning, and that's why you're here. And I want you to know what I love about this industry is the fact that, you know, not only is the timing great, but we've got the systems in place to make sure that your business will be scalable and streamable and duplicatable. So we've got a systems in place, and systems basically stands for save yourself some time, energy, and money. For those of you that are entrepreneurs or want to become an entrepreneur, most of you, your businesses won't make it and survive because you don't have systems in place. And during this pandemic, one of the things I want to educate you about real quickly on the financial side is make sure that you start to learn how to increase your cash flow, right? Learn how to manage your debt and create an emergency fund and have proper protection, and, you know, create some sort of savings plan long term, and preserve your assets and preserve your estate. And if you've got money, now's not the time to go buy cars. Don't get sucked into those commercials where they're offering you 0% financing and they're giving you 6 months with no payments and no, you know, don't get caught into that, folks. I want you to start saving your money. In fact, they say that money speaks only one language. It says that if you save me today, I will save you tomorrow. And so I want you to know that cash is king right now. You want to save that money. And if you don't have any money, well, then more reason why you want to listen to me and this speaker that I'm going to bring on here shortly. And I want you to know that whenever I get into a business, I want to make sure that I get into a business where there's the difference is having a necessity and a luxury. You know, the luxury items are recreation, it's travel, it's leisure, things like that. And all those industries during a time of pandemic are facing tremendous adversity and turmoil. And so I got into the financial industry and recognized the fact that there is passive income in this industry, income that you can make without doing any work, often from investments that you already made, right? So you want to invest your money and that your money is making money for you. And so here's some examples, you know, whether it's rental properties, annuities, stocks, or high yield savings accounts, that's passive income, folks. And I love passive income, but what I love even more is residual income. And residual income is income you receive after a sale, that you still make money after you did the work and things like that. Some examples are becoming an author and producing a movie and becoming a songwriter. And let me just tell you, getting into the financial service industry, right? And I've actually dabbled in all 4 of those things. And I'll tell you what's paid me the most amount of money is the financial industry. And so the question is, why financial? Because there's residual income, there's assets under management, there's broker agent relationships. I can sell my business for multiples, right? I get people educated about money and finance, like I just did with you in the prior slide. I get to teach people how money works. I get to help families, and I have fun, right? So these are all the different reasons I got into financial service industry. In fact, I've invested and dabbled in a lot of different businesses. So I've got experience in the financial industry. I've got money invested in real estate and commercial buildings. In fact, I've got farms where I've got pistachios and almonds and avocados. I've got a merchant processing business. I've got software, e-commerce, gadgets and apps. I've invested in a lot of different things, and I still own a lot of equity in some of these things here. And I want you to know that I've invested into wigs, and what I've got up here is not a wig, but I've invested into wigs, right? Believe it or not, I've invested into bath bombs in the music industry and movies and authoring and all that kind of stuff. And I want you to know that, you know, to me, the financial service industry is bar none the best. And I got to tell you that we've got a proven business format system. I've got a proven financial format system. I've got a proven licensing format system. I've got a proven personal development system. And finally, I've got a proven leadership format system. And this afternoon, I just want you guys to know that right now, I've got a person that I'm going to bring on now, and I'm going to stop chattering because I know many of you are on this morning because you want to hear the speaker. And I can't say enough about this man. I mean, this guy, just a tremendous, tremendous leader. I want to just take this slide out and want to kind of scroll down here and bring this up here. Here we go. Let me just kind of, so before I bring him on this slide right here, I wanted to say that during this quarantine and this stay home thing, that I hope that you learned a new skill, and I hope you get some new knowledge, and I hope you start a new side hustle. And when people say, well, John, you know, if you don't do one of these things, it's not that you lacked time, because now you got a lot of time, but you lack discipline, okay? And next week on Tuesday, I actually had one of you guys actually send me a message and said, you know, you're absolutely right, John, I do lack discipline. And I'm going to maybe explain a little bit more about how you can have more discipline next week on Tuesday. In fact, we should probably ask that question to our next guest speaker. But our next guest speaker right here, what a tremendous entrepreneur he is. I mean, this guy's made millions and millions of dollars. You can see that he's an amazing salesman as he's looking at that picture right there with his beautiful wife. I call her my sister. But you know he's a closer because he closed her, right? So you know he's a tremendous salesman. But he has built a distribution, a financial service distribution company around the country. He literally is probably one of the most sought after speakers in the entire North American continent right now. What an amazing guy, a philanthropist. And for those of you that don't know him, you really should, because this guy is one of the most genuine guys I've ever met. One of the most giving, one of the most generous. I mean, he's jumping on this webinar this morning for you. Like I didn't call Paul and say, hey Paul, how much will you charge me to jump on this webinar? He said, John, I'll do this in a heartbeat for you. You know, it's just the kind of friend he is. You know, I've never ever called this guy and he never said, I don't have time for you, John. He's always been giving, and this is why he's such a tremendous leader. He's a servant leader. And I mean, I'm telling you, this guy's he's probably one of the best speakers I've ever met in my entire life. And I'm not just saying that to say that to impress you guys. I mean, you'll see for yourself that I'm not exaggerating when I say that this guy is a dynamic speaker. He's spoken in front of 40,000 people on numerous occasions. He's been asked to be the closing speakers at some national conferences because that's how good this guy is. And so without any further ado, I want to bring on my good friend, Mr. Paul Hart. I know everybody's up on their feet, music's going, the bass is thumping. Paul, welcome to our webinar this afternoon or this morning. Appreciate you joining us. There we go.
All right, you hear me? Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
perfect.
You're unmuted now, brother.
All right, thank you, John. Thank you for the introduction, and to have somebody to think that when I was starting, I was going to have somebody introduce me like that. You know, it's pretty crazy because I didn't know that I knew that I was going to give this an effort. I didn't know that this was going to be something that I was going to become great at, and definitely not speaking. I could tell you that up front. My biggest fear in life was public speaking, and to be introduced to somebody who's a sought after speaker, I think that's a very interesting dynamic. And I know there's a lot of people on this call that you may not even know what your real gift is. I mean, WFG introduced me to my gift. I liked cars when I first started. I kind of like breaking stuff down, putting it back together, just thinking about things like that. But I never knew it'd be talking to people, speaking on stage, because that was one of my biggest fears. So I love what you put, John, on your slides. Like, this is literally the industry to be in. And it doesn't matter. As you can see during COVID-19 and this pandemic, we're thriving. And it's almost embarrassing to tell people that, because, you know, a lot of people are hurting right now. But when times are great, we do good. And when times are bad, we do better, because people actually start to listen. And I'm a byproduct of just being coachable, okay? I believe we have maybe some guests, but I want to share with you what's kind of become my passion and my desire, my drive, and then we'll do a little Q&A at the end. But let me preface everything with my story. I started the company at 24 years old, and I had no background in financial services. I lived with my father. I didn't have a bank account. I had never worked in a corporate office. I had never used a fax machine, anything like that. I was just going to college because I was trying to get out of being a grease monkey, I guess, but I was dirt under my fingernails when I came to a BPM, and I just knew I wanted something more, but I never knew how to get it. I was told you got to go to school. I was told, and then they force you to go to school, right? I was told that you got to get good grades, and I was told you got to get a good job. And you think that, I don't know if anybody's, I'm sure you have, but you've driven to the wealthy neighborhoods. I'm here in the Silicon Valley where everybody's moving out of because it's too expensive, but some people are moving in, the home behind me just sold during COVID-19. Like, somebody's buying this stuff. There's got to be a way. I hope you guys are thinking like that. There's somebody owns a home like that. If it's too expensive, how can somebody else is living like that? If a car like that is too expensive, how come somebody else has a car like that? I've always wondered these things, and I knew there's a way. Just like I wanted to know how playing with Legos or breaking down a radio or taking a look at my little video game controller, I would open it up. There's got to be a way that this works. And so there's got to be a way, maybe I used that kind of a thinking when I came here, but there's got to be a way that people get wealthy. And I'm a competitive person, and I feel like if somebody's better or has something that I don't have, I believe it's one of two reasons, and I think it's true for you too. They know something that you don't know, or they've been doing it longer than you've been doing it. So it's not that they're better than you. It's just if they know something that I don't know, then I just need their intellectual capital, and if I'm willing to work, I'm going to get the results. And if they're doing something longer than I've been doing it, then of course they're better, because repetition is the mother of learning. And, an outlier, obviously, they say does something for 10,000 hours. So I would drive to these homes, these beautiful houses in the hills, overlooking the Silicon Valley private roads. They just got their own home carved in the mountain, kind of like what John and Arlene have done with their properties. And I used to wonder, like, what do people do? Because I'm cutting school right now. I probably shouldn't say that. Driving up, just selling myself on the vision. And these people are home at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Wednesday. And everybody else is working 9 to 5s. And I've seen my father work really hard, but he never got ahead. And my mom was a stay-at-home mom. I came from a pretty traditional family where she kind of cooked and cleaned and raised us. And my dad went to go, work and bring home the bacon, so to speak. But most people that I've grown up around, they have left the Silicon Valley. They can't afford it anymore, and they've moved to other areas. And what I think people do is they shrink their goals to fit their income. Because if you're on an hourly wage or a salary, which is what we've been programmed to think that that's what's an acceptable source of income, I would suggest you've been deriving your income probably the most unproductive way if you want to get financially independent. If you want to make some money right now and pay the bills next week, and that's pretty much all we're going to do, then maybe a job is a great source of an income. But if you want to be financially free where you can live your life on your terms, as John was mentioning, you got to have residual income, and you want to build up multiple streams of income. And I want to share with you guys today about recruiting, because to me, what I've learned is that I've always thought this way. I just never knew there was a vehicle to do this. But most people think financial security is having a paycheck coming in every Friday or every other Friday, depending on how people get paid. I don't even know, right? We get paid 8-9 times a month, but every Friday. And as long as they got that paycheck coming in, they're financially secure. To me, financial security would be not needing a paycheck coming in on Friday. I mean, how many Fridays can John and Arlene live, never get one more paycheck, and their life won't change one bit? That's financial freedom. I mean, Rich Dolly has generations and generations and generations of money saved for him and his family. That's financial freedom. Not a boss is employing me right now so I get a paycheck next Friday so I can put food on the table. I think we got to transition from making a living, which just means I'm just living, and then my money's gone, then I wait till the next paycheck, I'm living, and then I'm living check to check, to where we start making a life. We start designing our life. The life that we have right now, it's pretty deja vu from what we've thought. I've just been a victim of thinking too small. I got to start doing the stuff John and Arlene are doing. But compared to where I came from, I mean, this is exactly what I seen in my dreams. I got started, I was building a 1969 Pontiac GTO. And I love classic cars. I love muscle cars. I was driving my 65 yesterday. It was a beautiful day. And man, you know, it's like driving a dream. But anyway, I was building a 69 because that 65 was my dad's. And my dad, I've kept it all classic, all original. He bought it in 65 off the showroom floor. That's a family heirloom. But I wanted a car that I can pimp out, so to speak, right? And so I get a 69. I start to build it myself. This is my introduction into the business. And I go to a family reunion. I had to park a car in the driveway. One was in the garage, one was in the driveway. I had two cars, and I parked the GTO in the driveway. I fly to Tennessee to my family reunion, land, go to sleep, wake up the next morning. My neighbors called me and said, "Didn't you park your car in the driveway?" And I said, "Yeah." They said, "Well, we woke up this morning kind of looking at your house, and your car's gone." And I know what that meant. Because I knew people knew, you know, I tried to keep it secret, but I was not, you know, I didn't want to tell people I was going to leave, but I had left and somebody stole my car. So I went from $10,000 invested into this car, which at the time was my life savings, all my blood, sweat, and tears and energy and stuff you can't get back, time, into this car, and somebody steals it. And so I come back on the first thing smoking. And now I went from doing okay, because I was known as the guy within all my friends and in the neighborhood. I had cars, I had rims on my car, I had nice clothes, I had money in my pocket, and I never had a job really. I had a side hustle, which I heard John Shin say that back when I was coming up was if you said you had a side hustle, the police are looking for you, right? But now I guess it's politically correct to say so. But I had a side hustle. I've never wanted to work for somebody else. My first job, I just remember my dad always telling me no. And my dad grew up in abject poverty. And my dad used to say no when I would want something. Not that I grew up in poverty. My dad grew us up in the middle class to lower middle class. He kind of stepped up a little bit and then raised us that way. But he raised me mentally like I'm a man. I got to earn everything myself. The answer is no, the same way his dad raised him. So I learned how to hustle. And I would find ways to go to the golf course, shine up golf balls, sell golf balls back. And I never wanted to ask another man for money because my feeling was the answer was no. And then I got my first job, $5.50 an hour working at Wheelworks. And I just remember they told me after a year, you'll get a raise to $7.50 an hour. I then get a raise to $7.50 an hour. And a year goes by, I get a raise to $7.50 an hour. And the gentleman tells me, you know, just so you know, Paul, I'll give you a raise. And so I said, well, he said, "Why should I give you a raise?" And I said, "Because you told me." And he said, "Okay, I'll give you a raise." And the next week goes by, I quit. And I got the raise, so why did I quit? The reason I quit was because it was like I have another dad now, and I got to ask another man for money. And I didn't like it when I was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And I didn't like it when I'm 15, 20, 25, 35. And I don't want to do it till I'm 65. When another man puts me on a salary, he's telling me I'm never going to own a house like that. Because people that live on homes like that, they own businesses. You know, there's a lot of money out there. I was talking to one of my neighbors across the street. He's putting in pools. And he was like, people just will spend whatever around here. He was like, man, some people have a ton of money. And he doesn't really know what we do. And I'm like, yeah, you know, it's pretty crazy. Some people, they own these properties. They don't work with somebody else telling them what they're worth. If you let somebody else tell you what you're worth, hence hourly or salary, you'll never get paid what you're worth. And if you have confidence, you know, we're taught commission is scary. No, commission is for people who believe in themselves. Commission is for people who believe in their abilities. If I believe in myself and I'll work 7 days a week, why would I want somebody to put me on a salary, the same salary somebody else makes working 5 days a week? If I believe I'll work as many hours as I need to get the job done, why would I want somebody to tell me I'm on an hourly wage and there's only 24 hours in a day and they tell me what hours I can work? See, people think that commission is scary. I think an hourly or a salary wage is scary. I think commission is the only way to go. Matter of fact, that's how this whole planet was founded, by the way. And since the Industrial Revolution, that's when we've developed this concept of the 9-to-5 benefits and all that. And you see what's starting to happen with society now. People aren't raising their own kids anymore because as inflation goes up, they don't raise your wages proportionately. And so because these homes in the Silicon Valley cost so much, if wages went up with the growth of Silicon Valley, people wouldn't have needed to lose. But they have to shrink their goals to fit their income when WFG and America, United States of America and capitalism gives you a shot that if you understand the rules, you can grow your income to fit your goals. You don't have to shrink your goals. So I challenge everybody to look at it that way. Now, I think a job is something that everybody needs because you got to put food on the plate, you know, this week, next week, the week after that. But what about 6 months from now? What about when COVID-20 comes? I mean, knock on wood, obviously that's metaphorical. It's going to be something else. We had the great financial crisis, the Great Recession in 2008. We had 9/11 in 2001. It's just, and now we have the COVID-19, and history repeats itself. Will you be prepared in the future, or will you be caught, quote unquote, with your pants down like a lot of people were caught now? And all the messages that WFG preaches is true. You know, a lot of these companies, when you think of Genworth was originally purchased by GE. The founder of that was Thomas Edison. Genworth is a financial services company. You got GMAC, you know, a derivative of General Motors. So a lot of people are having these financial services arms. Gerber, you know, financial services arms. Maybe they sold the name, but I think everybody needs a financial services opportunity, because how long are people going to use money? and how long are people going to need advice on money if they use money? And so I want to share my slide, but I got some ideas because I looked at this so much more than just a financial services company. I want to share with you what's kind of changed my life, which has given us a shot to actually have those homes. And then we got a second home, and we're trying to figure out, where do we want to go? You know, do we want to go to Santa Barbara? I think they closed down the beaches, which is where, you know, our second home is, and we got more cars over there. I got all my classic cars like I wanted to. I got a pool in the backyard here, so I don't know that I want to leave because I love the pool over there. We just got a jacuzzi over there. Now we got options. Now I got options where both properties are $1 million properties, solid $1 million properties. So when the next recession comes, when all this stuff happens, are you going to be ready for it? And you can't wait. You know, the timing's right, but sometimes the timing doesn't seem right in your life, and it's never going to seem right. The timing's right in the economy, but how about in your life? When my car was stolen, that presented because I had no money, that was the perfect time to do this business. You know, because I had no time and flexibility and I had no options, that was the time to do this business. With every adversity, there's a benefit. And I could tell you this. If I hadn't had my car stolen, if I hadn't have been broke again, I wouldn't have looked at the WFG opportunity the same way, because good is the enemy of great. So this company is allowing me to become great, but before I was doing good. Okay, so if good is the enemy of great, having all that stuff that I had before, I never would have looked at the opportunity, but because now I'm at square one. Now I'm struggling. This gives me a shot now. So when I come to WFG, I quit my job. I quit school. I dropped out of college. I came in full time from day one. And I knew at 24 years old, I wasn't good enough to become successful, but they said that you can recruit, and they said that you can build a business. And I said, well, I don't have a license to sell anything. I don't have a securities or investment or insurance license, but I do have a license to recruit. So when can I get started doing that? They said right now. And I went out and I recruited 25 people my first month, 10 directs, 25 on the team, and had no idea what I was doing, but I knew exactly why I was doing it. And I think the why is bigger than the how. So why should you recruit? I'm going to go through a few slides here. We'll do a little Q&A at the end, but okay, hopefully you guys still see this, but so why should you recruit? One, it's a better way to set appointments. So I don't know about you, but when it comes to setting up appointments, I want to make sure that I have an effective way of setting up appointments. And so how do we set up appointments? The trainee sets up. When I set these 25 recruits, I called them. It's my friend. It would be strange if somebody else called my friend and I just talked to my friend yesterday. I'd say, hey, what's going on, man? And this is how we set up appointments. Hey, what's going on? What are you doing on Thursday? Oh, nothing. I'm in training right now. I need some help. What is it all about? It's about 30 minutes. I'm picking you up, or we're coming to your house, or whatever. That's the way I set up appointments, and I just booked it. So when I recruit people, every salesperson, insurance agent, real estate agent, you name it, they want to have an effective way of setting an appointment, right? Let me, I gotta close this out. Hang on one second, guys. Okay. Everybody wants an effective way to set an appointment. WFG has mastered the system of setting up appointments. And so through recruiting and then training them, that's where I've gotten all my appointments. I never understood why we can say just for training, we go into their house and come out with 5 apps. You don't have to buy anything. It's just for Paul's training. They come out with 4 apps. You know why? Because everybody needs our help. And this is the golden age of a financial professional. So through recruiting and training people, that is the most effective system of getting appointments. Number 2, it's a better way to sell. Because now I'm using a warm market system, but I'm using somebody else's credibility to get me on the appointment, right? Which gets me to number 3, it's a better way to get referrals. A lot of people get referrals, but they give you a name or number. See, when you normally get a referral from just a client, I get 3, 4, 5 referrals. But when I recruit somebody, I get 25, 50, 75 referrals. My list was about 150 names. So you recruit me, you get 150 referrals. I call them, I take you to the appointment. I edify you like you walk on water. I make sure that they're respectful. I drive you back to your office. All you got to do is flip the pages and then you make the money. And so any other referral doesn't even come close to that. I don't even barely use gas money anymore when I became a field trainer because somebody else would take me on all my appointments. And I would just sit there, flip the pages, they'd drive me back, I'd make money, and they'd do it again. The best way to get referrals. Number 4, you're always in a warm market. When you're dealing with people's money, you want to make sure people trust you. And so you're always in a warm market when you're doing our business the right way through the training system. And this is our system. This is what I started to understand. Number 5, the best NPR, net point ratio. I know a lot more about an IUL, about mutual funds, about active management, about, you name it, annuities. I know more now than if you just came to my house for 45 minutes and closed a sale. I mean, how many times do we close a sale and we sell them an IUL and they're like, so what is this again? An LI something, life insurance, LI? No. IUL. Or you recruit them. So what did I just join now? World Group Financial, Prime American Financial, Transamerica. Well, what is this? So they don't know after 45 minutes what they're involved in. When you recruit somebody, they come to trainings, they get licensed. Even if they don't make it here long term, they're a more informed client. Nobody can sway their belief about what we've done for them now. Number 6, it provides unlimited income. That goes back to what I said, 24 hours in a day if I'm on an hourly wage, or I got to work whatever hours they tell me to work if I'm on a salary. Even if I'm on commission, there's still only 24 hours in a day. So a traditional life insurance salesman, a traditional stockbroker, a traditional real estate agent, they're always going to be limited. When I got my first job at Wheelworks, there was Wheelworks locations all over the place. And I've never met the owners. And I just envisioned, man, this family has an empire. Every brake pad, every valve stem, every tire rotation, balance, and alignment, they're going to get paid on. And they're not even there. And I'm the one with dirt on my face, dirt under my nails, back brace on, protective goggles in the shop where there's a sign at the top and it says, chemicals in this facility are known in the state of California to cause cancer. And I'm working in this facility. This guy's in the air condition with his shirt tucked in. And that's the sales rep. And the owner's not even in his own shop. So if the owner has 5 shops, he makes 5 times the money. If the owner has 10 shops, he makes 10 times the money. And I'm thinking, this is crazy. Like, I make the same amount of money no matter. I can't even drive any of these cars that I'm working on. I can't even afford it. How do I get into that business? And we'll talk about that in a second. Who's really crazy and who's not. 7, it provides security. COVID, I'm sure there's people out there doing COVID-19 that are not stressed out. You know, when you got a couple hundred licensed agents, there's always somebody selling something, even if you don't sell. If I had a family issue, my business would still thrive. I never trusted me. I trusted me initially, but I know I'm temporarily motivated so I can be permanently lazy. I heard somebody say that one time, and I was like, I'll fight like crazy if you tell me there's a light at the end of the tunnel. But one time, my friend got polyps on his vocal cord. I was like 3 months into the business. They had to laser surgical remove them off, and he had to whisper for the next year straight because he had to heal his vocal cords. And I just remember thinking, I get paid by talking. I get paid by presenting. I got to make phone calls. If I don't have my vocal cords, I go out of business. I got to get this thing going. And now when you got, depending on how many vocal cords you have, if I have 400 licensed agents, I got at least 400 vocal cords, right? And not everybody's having any issues and family issues all at the same time. So if you want to have security, no matter what happens, what if there's a fire and we got to vacate like there was these couple years? Well, if you have multiple locations and multiple offices, it doesn't matter. You know, what if McDonald's only had one location? What if Starbucks only had one location? Number 8, you're building a company within a company, so the infrastructure is already set up. You go build your own company, you got to set up everything yourself, your payroll, your compliance, everything. And when I started, I didn't have any good credit. So nobody was going to advance me 40, 60 commissions when you got below subpar credit, okay? But with Aegon's credit, you can come in with a 400 credit score, if that even exists, and you will still get an advance because you're using Aegon's credit. You use WFG's credibility. You use all these systems. And then you got John and Arlene, and then you got all your leadership and the layers of leadership. You're building a company under that safety net. Or you can just go out and do it on your own, right? That would be like leaving, like going right back to, because I've had some people say that, I want to go build my own thing. And I'm like, where'd you immigrate here from? This country. I said, your family already immigrated from this country to give you a shot so you can have a shot at the big time here. That would be like, no, I want to move back to Mexico, start all over again, and then come back and just so I can say I did it myself. Like, that's dumb. You know, if it's already set up, why would you want to do it all yourself? That's just ego. I just want to go grow this. You can grow your own brand. You can grow your own logos. You can do whatever you want, but you're under the umbrella and the security of WFG. Number 9, the number 1 recruiter is always the number 1 producer and money earner long term. Mark those words, not short term. You start recruiting, you probably won't make any money right away. All right. But that's why it takes vision, not just a point of view. You got to know that if you keep on doing this, eventually you're going to find a John Shin. Eventually you're going to find a Marla Isidro. Eventually you're going to find a Paul Hart. How many John Shins do you need to override for you to be financially free for generations to come? If that makes sense, right? So I'm looking, what if you got to go through 99 and then the 100th one is your John Shin? Are you willing to do it, or is that too much work? Because the other alternative is you got to work till you're 65, man, they just extended RMDs because they know nobody's going to retire. RMD, required minimum distributions, because they know nobody's going to retire. So that's the other, well, Paul, I've been here for 90 days. I haven't made any money yet. Well, at least you still got your job, right? You've been in school for 4 years. You're not complaining that you haven't made any money yet in your career, but yet you come here for 90 days and all of a sudden you haven't made any money yet, and that's a struggle. Who you been talking to? Oh, it's the people we're associating with, right? So if you have a vision for the long term, come COVID-20, you're going to be ready, all right? Come the next disaster that comes, an earthquake in California, you got money saved, you got a business, you start going with Zoom, you can start to go nationally now at the speed of light. And then number 10, my favorite reason why we recruited, so you don't have to anymore. So you can build a company that continues to recruit without you. I heard somebody say, build a system whereby recruiting never stops. And now I'm not even the best recruiter in my business. When I was first starting, I was the best, better than everybody. I'm not the best producer. I'm not the best recruiter. I'm not the best prospector. I'm not the best financial planner. I just override the best people. As a matter of fact, Bill Gates isn't the best anymore. He just overrides the best. Mark Zuckerberg, all these leaders aren't the best. They just have the best think tanks working for them, right? So number 10, you don't have to anymore. It's amazing. You know, when you really think about it, sports teams recruit, right? So it's not any different than what we do. Who makes the most money? You know, Kawhi Leonard or the owner of the Clippers? You know, who makes the most money? LeBron James or the owner of the Lakers? So the people who actually recruit have the other people doing the work, and they're the ones breaking their fingers, breaking their ankles, breaking their collarbones, getting concussions, and somebody else is up there in the skybox watching their team making all the money. So the choice is, as we enter the free world of the United States of America, who do we want to be? And you can choose whoever you want to be, and WFG is awesome because it gives you a shot to do that. Next. What about the general agency system? GA meaning general agency, all right? Only the broker gets the overrides. So you don't get to override anybody. You live off commission, meaning you got 24 hours in a day. The broker can be at home with his or her family. The general agent can be at home with his or her family, and they're still making money. If the general agent or the broker has 5 agents, they've multiplied their income times 5. We'll talk about that in a second. Agents can only sell. Here, when you join, you get to be a broker right away. Your first override position is when you get your 3-3-30, and your trainer's going to do all the 3-3-30 work for you. So agents cannot only sell. So we attract a higher caliber of thinker. If all I want to do is sell, that's fine, because I like to override people that just want to sell too. However, I want to recruit people that want to get free and multiply this thing. The broker loses their best producers in the general agency system. You talk to anybody who owns a restaurant right now and you ask them, what profession did you come up in? You know what they would say? I was in the restaurant business. They learned all the ins and outs under somebody else's restaurant, and then they went to go open up their own restaurant and became the competition of the people that trained them, right? What about when somebody's a general contractor? So what, let's say they're in pools. So what business did you come up in? Oh, I was up in the pool business. I was kind of learning. I was the worker. And then I started realizing I'm making this guy all this money and I'm the one doing all the work. I might as well start my own general contracting business for installing pools. That's how it works, right? You see a real estate broker, they worked in real estate before, and then they became a broker. You would lose a John Shin. You couldn't override him. Jeff Levitan gets to keep overriding John Shin because we never lose our best producers in WFG because we give them the exact same contract we have. See, once you recruit a John Shin, you want to make sure you keep him. And you definitely don't want John to be your competition, right? And this is the company that would do that. If John came up under any other business model, he would eventually realize, I'm bringing you all the clients. I'm the one doing most of the work. You're just sitting back cashing your checks. How do I get your contract? And they're going to talk you out of trying to get their contract. So here, even though we lose people, we never lose our best people if we do it the right way. Next, production is never multiplied, right? So if I have 24 hours in a day, even if I work my rear end off, I'm only going to work 24 hours in a day. But what if I have 10 licensed agents on my team that know how to sell the product? I now have 240 hours in a day. All right. What if I have 100 licensed agents on my team? I now have 2,400 licensed agents, hours in a day. How much money can you make with 2,400 hours in a day? Would you need that little, whatever that was, $1,200 stimulus package? Like, what is that going to do anyway? Like, as a matter of fact, I delivered a death claim during COVID-19 for a lady who lost her job. And I came through and gave her a couple $100,000 stimulus package. She probably got that 1,200 as well. Who created a better stimulus package? Should I just have stayed a mechanic and then been staying at home scared, waiting for my 1,200 bucks to come in? Or should I have gone against the grain, joined WFG? Everybody said I couldn't do it. And now everybody that's scared now were the ones that told me I couldn't do it. And I'm not scared. Matter of fact, the only reason I'm wearing a face mask because they say we have to now. Probably should have a face mask right now because I see people in their car by themselves with the face mask on. Like, what, are you going to give it to yourself? Like, come on, we just look at this little plastic box on the wall and whatever it says is law. We need to question that. Whatever this little plastic box on the wall says is God's honest truth law. Come on, we need to start asking questions because those same boxes on the wall are the ones that tell you to go to school, get good grades, and get a good job so you can work for somebody else. I heard somebody say a long time ago, I heard this as a quote, we don't want a nation of thinkers, we want a nation of workers. Because once you start thinking, you start to realize, how do I get that position? I don't want to just live like this, give all my money away so it becomes theirs. Theirs meaning what? The IRS. We make all this money and just give it away. But anyway, that's a whole nother subject, right? But that's my passion of recruiting, right? And then agents will have to leave to become a broker. What's the in another agency, right? Because there's only one broker. Here we develop brokers. What's the recruiter's language? There's a specific language you have to speak to attract people who understand the vibe that I just sent out. I didn't say anything about mutual funds, share prices, yield spread, premium. I didn't say anything about contingent deferred sales charge, none of that stuff. So if you speak that language, that's a cool language. I got all my licenses. I'm going to attract a certain kind of person. But when you speak the recruiter's language, you attract people that, even if they didn't think about being in financial services, they get what you just said. I get it. The recruiter's language, ownership. You could say mutual funds. Would you like mutual funds or would you like ownership? Would you like life insurance or would you like ownership? When I say the word ownership, everybody's like, yeah. When I say mutual fund, everybody's, what's that? What? Well, I don't know if I can do financial planning. You get what I'm saying? Freedom, residual income. We talked about that. John just talked about that. Code number. You know, that beautiful woman, Gabby, she's my running mate. We're like Batman and Robin. And one time I woke up, she's a recruiter. By the way, I wouldn't be where I'm at. I'm just the mascot, all right? She's the brains behind the operation. But one time we were asleep and she woke up in the middle of the night. Did you get the recruit? Did you code him? Did you get the code? And then she just fell back to sleep. And I'm like, this woman is crazy. And this is when we were in the throes of building the foundation to get to CEO. We obsessed with the business to where it was on the deep recesses of our subconscious mind to where we're thinking about it even when we're asleep. It's the last thought that we had when we went to sleep, and it's the first thought that we had when we woke up in the morning. If your mind is consumed with the concept, is there anything called luck that after 5 or 10 years, you have that built? No, and then people call me lucky. Well, you got the gift of gab. I've never had the gift of gab. I just had the passion to figure out a way to communicate this language so I don't have to repeat myself 700 times. Overrides, passive income, compounding, multiple streams of income. See, some people go buy real estate. I'll just go license somebody, right? Same thing, and there's no liability. Duplication, multiplying, explosion, building, distribution, outlets, selling the dream, inspire, coaching, excitement, leaders, teams, competition, taprooting, fast start, AMA, licensed agents, exponential growth. So when you put if you're a fisherman and you put the bait on a hook, a worm, not every fish eats worms. So you're not going to get every single worm by putting every single fish by putting a worm on a hook. You can put, there's a lot of different bait, my bottom line is, right? So the bait you put on the hook tends to be the fish that's attracted to it. So if I want to recruit recruiters, I want to recruit entrepreneurs, I want to recruit people who think that way. And then, by the way, taste this product. It's called a hamburger. That's what we're going to go sell. You show them the product afterwards. You attract them to the concept. Here's the product. Do you think it'll sell? Let's compare this to this. Let's compare this to another life insurance policy. Let's compare our investment strategies to what everybody else has. Okay, so you don't have to fall in love with mutual funds to go build a company any more than somebody who loves hamburgers owns a McDonald's. They bought a McDonald's to own a business that produces passive income. They didn't buy a McDonald's to be the best hamburger salesperson in the world. So I don't want anybody thinking that you have to be the best financial advisor or even the best recruiter, because I'm not that. I just recruit people who do that. Moving on through. There are 3 kinds of people that recruit, but I say you got to recruit with an intention. You got to recruit with a purpose. You got to know what you're looking for. You got to recruit the masses, but selected masses. And the selected masses are the people that you intend to recruit, right? And you generally recruit kind of a caliber of where you are. So it's important that you grow yourself, because then you'll grow the people that will follow you. Maybe I should say lead. You can recruit anybody, but you can only lead people who see themselves following you, right? So if I'm a level 3 and I recruit a level 6 person, the way they see themselves, in God's eyes, we're all the same, but we all see ourselves differently because of the way we've been programmed, right? So if I'm a 3 and I recruit a 6 will never say I'll follow a 3, because they can smell that you're a 3. They can see the way you talk and the language that you use that you're a 3. They can see the clothes that you wear. And I'm not talking about how expensive it is. They can just tell you're a 3. But if you're a 6, you can recruit a 3 and retain a 3. So you have to recruit with an intention. And leverage is the key when you're not where you want to be yet. So there's people that recruit to recruit. What does that mean? They recruit because they're told to. That's probably more the employee mentality. They do what they're told to do. But if that's the case, it's better than doing nothing, right? Number 2, recruit to sell. I want to win a contest. Okay. And then number 3, I guess you can do that, but then you're going to have to keep doing that to win a contest. If you actually do number 3, you recruit to build, to build leaders that build your company, you'll qualify for every contest, and you'll have a system whereby qualifying for contests never stops. You'll have a system whereby Tuesday and Friday pay cycles never stop. You'll have a system whereby, being on the leaders bulletin and competing at the higher levels never stops. You'll have a system whereby saving money, probably more than you used to make on a monthly basis, now you save on a monthly basis, never stops. So you have to recruit with an intention. If you're off 1 degree and you fly to Hawaii, you don't really notice it when you're right here over the Channel Islands or whatever, right? But once you start flying and you're 5 hours out, 1 degree turns to, what the heck just happened? Where's Hawaii? And you're nowhere near Hawaii. So sometimes that 1 degree, when you think you're building something, 5 years goes by, you have nothing built. 10 years goes by, you have nothing built. And it's because you didn't have the right intention. The scripts were right, but I heard somebody say your intention creates your attention. And it's absolutely true, because whatever you programmed in your mind, you start to notice everywhere. And that's how it works. So the recruiter is a mentality that eventually you'll notice them everywhere. Now, who are we looking for? We hear this term stud. Maybe you also hear the term dud. Dud is just a bomb that has the potential to explode. The gunpowder's in there. It's just some of the wires are kind of screwed up. You got to just rewire it, boom, and it can blow up. And so some of us, we all have the ability to explode. It's just our wiring's messed up. We need a mentor to get in there and wire us the right way, and then boom, you can explode. But what is a stud? On the side of that, we got VIP. That's a very important person. That's who you're looking for. You're not looking for any warm body, but you can't tell who they are until you've recruited them and run them through the system. Because I was not married, I didn't have kids, I wasn't wealthy, but on the inside, I had this massive desire to do something big. What's VDP, as you see on there? A very demanding person, or a very draining person. They keep talking about COVID, and they keep talking about this, and they sneezing, and all of a sudden they think they got it. They got to go get tested, but I can't make any money, and my new recruit just quit, and I got this going. I was like, holy, stop it. We all got negativity going on in our life, but we don't need to magnify it. Nobody cares about, the little pimple on somebody's butt from high school. I mean, just keep that to yourself, right? Let's go talk about possibilities and when we're going to go grow. And then VNP is a very nice person. Those are nice people. Those are not people you run away. They come to all the potlucks. They do the whoosh. They got the thunder sticks. They're fired up. They have a smile on their face, and a lot of them do nothing. We want those folks around, but that's not who I'm looking for. That could be the decoration, so to speak, on the Christmas tree, but I'm looking for the gifts, right? And that's the VIP. So what's a stud? Somebody who has a market. I'm looking for somebody who has a market. My intention creates my attention. So if my intention is to find somebody who has a market, what do I say? I say stuff like, so how long have you lived in the area? Do you have a big family? Are you married? Is your wife's family in the area? Did you go to school here? You got brothers and sisters? How old are they? See, I'm asking a different question to check the market. And it's not just conversation. I'm dissecting the market. Number 2, do they have credibility in the market? Meaning, if I got a market but nobody trusts me, what does it matter? Your business won't move because nobody trusts them. And then number 3 is willing to work. Do they have a market? Do they have credibility? And are they willing to work in that market? Because what if they have the first 2, but they're not willing to work? I was all 3. I had a big market. I had credibility because everybody knew if it was money involved, Paul's probably doing it. So when I was doing this, there was like, there must be money involved. And then willing to work. And you know what I told my friends? When you come in, don't embarrass me. It's going to be $100. You better have it ready. Man, this is the one shot in a lifetime for you to go do this. And everybody came with $100 in their pocket, ready to go. Now, I'm sure a lot of people can't do that. But you would have thought you were a crazy, great recruiter. If I brought 25 people in that all had $100 in their pocket, you would have been like, I'm a closer. But I already lined them up for you because I had credibility and I had a market and they followed me, right? So when you recruit these people, you don't even have to be that good. They do all the work for you because the credibility is the key. The last few, studdish tendencies, character strength. If you're going to lead people, I need to know you're a person of character. You're going to do what you say you're going to do, and you're an honorable person, especially when it comes to money. I mean, if you sell pots and pans, probably doesn't matter that much. But when you're dealing with people's money, probably matters, right? Number 2, Confidence in our business model and our products. Well, Paul, I believe in term. I'm a little confused about this and the Everest. Well, then sell term. Well, I just like final expense. Well, then go become a final expense person. Well, I just want to do variable annuities through Jackson National only. Well, then go do that. See, WFG is a platform. It's just we got to go do something. We can't use our lack of knowledge and our lack of skill in the information age to justify the reason why we're not taking action. We can't do that, right? Number 3, coachability. That's all I had going, really. Let's go. Tell me what to do. I'll go. You know why? Because you make money on my success based on the business model. I'm going to listen to what you say because you would be dumb to tell me the wrong thing. Let's go. My job was different. Paul, get 2 of these cars in at the same time. You normally get in 1. Mrs. Johnson's waiting. Mrs. So-and-so's waiting. They both got to go. Can you get their cars out as soon as possible? Of course. But you make double the commission, so I'm going to take my time. I'm breathing in chemicals that cause cancer. I'm going to take my time. So these folks wanted me to work harder so that they can double their commission and get a bonus, and I make the same amount of money. My leader in WFG wants me to work harder so he can make more money, but that means that's why I make more money. And some people are like, I don't know about that. Well, everybody overrides you somewhere. I mean, you're not just free at the company. You pay them with your time and they're making money based on your productivity. So the question is, do you have that same opportunity or you never will have that shot? How many CEOs of the companies that we work at that put us on this COVID quarantine and they quarantined our income are doing Zooms with you right now like a John Shin is? How about the owner of that company? Probably not, right? Strong identity, meaning I believe in myself. I know I can do this. I used to play sports. I sucked and I got better. I used to do this. I used to not know 2 + 2. I know 2 + 2 now. I used to not know how to drive a stick shift. I know how to drive a stick shift now. I used to not know how to play John Madden, video games. Well, I still don't know how to play that, but I know how to play it now. So I believe me, if you teach me, I'll figure it out. I don't have a lot of money. Identity doesn't mean you have a lot of money. Identity means you believe you deserve to have a lot of money and you'll do whatever it takes. Number 5, focused on the right market. Don't only focus on Paul's because it's an exception to the rule. Include me in the batch, but go find the right market. Strong work ethic, which when I was coming up, man, everything was connected to the life that we have now. One day I'm going to have a pool. One day I'm never going to have to worry about gas money. One day every one of my cars is going to be a V8, 500 horsepower and more. One day I'm going to have a tri-power carburetor on my 65. I got 3 carburetors and I don't even care about gas money. So as I'm doing these interviews, I just knew one day it's going to look like that. I got a Ford Escort outside. I'm not going to stay in that Ford Escort. Yes, I live in a 1-bedroom apartment right now. I'm not going to stay in a 1-bedroom apartment. Yes, I got 1 plaque behind me right now when I'm doing this interview, and I still don't even have my watch on my wrist yet, but it's not going to stay that way. Yes, I go to the convention and nobody knows my name. It's not going to stay that way. So nothing's felt like work if you feel like everything you're doing is getting towards the ultimate goal that you want to get to. It looks like progress. It's work when it's like, I'm just doing this and I got to do it the rest of my life. If you know 3 years and you're done, 5 years and you're done, man, why not hurry up and do it? That's why I quit everything. I quit everything because I believed everything else that I was doing was taken away from my 3 to 5 year run to financial freedom. So work, look, I'm not interested in just putting food on the plate. I'll eat top ramen so I can have filet mignon in the future. I'll live in a 1-bedroom apartment. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll cut down my income. I'll have a Metro cell phone, flip phone. Just make sure that I don't need a job so I can use that time to grow my business. And it didn't even feel like work. And then number 7, desire or love of the game. This may be my final slide depending on time, but what business are you in? All right. I just want to let you guys know we're not the crazy ones. And we're not unique in that regard. NYL stands for New York Life. You might ask, what does New York Life do? And then the answer for most people would say, they sell life insurance. And my answer would be, no, they don't. Mr. New York and Mrs. Life have no idea how to fill out a whole life dividend paying New York Life policy that we always replace if it's compliant. They don't know that. They don't know how to do that. You know what New York Life does? They recruit people to sell life insurance. And they don't even just recruit the agent. They recruit general agents and brokers, and then the general agent recruits the agents to sell the life insurance. So New York Life doesn't even know how many signatures they would need. But the general agent and the agents do. Here's my question. Who makes more money, the agent, the general agent, or New York Life, the corporation? So we need to start thinking like them, not with a spear hunting down my next term app. No, we need to recruit the people that are going to be hunting down the spears with the next term app. MD, McDonald's. McDonald's does not flip hamburgers. McDonald's Corporation never smells like French fries and never smells like Big Macs. All right. They recruit franchisees, that's the EE, that recruits employees. Who smells like hamburgers? Who comes home with grease on their face making minimum wage? Corporation, the owner of the franchise, or the employee? Who makes the most money? The employee, the franchisee, or the franchisor? So big business owner recruits small business owner, recruits employee. The employee is thinking about, I just want to flip burgers so I can make a living. The franchisee is thinking, I want to build a company so I never have to work another day in my life, and then or start a company, I never have to work a day in my life, and then I got residual income coming in so we can live the life of our dreams. The McDonald's Corporation is thinking, I want to recruit people who want to own a business that have residual income coming in so that they can have something for their family. You get what I'm saying? So we all are in America. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, but we think different. And I love the book, Think and Grow Rich. The way crazy rich agents think. Any self-development book has to do with the way you think. RE/MAX. You guys heard of them, real estate, right? They recruit brokers, brokers recruit agents. When was the last time Mr. or Mrs. RE/MAX ever did an open house on a Saturday? You think they're listening, driving people around to check out the backyard, to check out the amenities, showing them the closets? No. They don't even know what an application looks like to close a home, right? The broker is the one that's a little bit closer to that. They recruit agents, and the agents are the ones away from their family, while the owners of the RE/MAX and the brokers, they're with their daughter's ballet recital on Saturday. Might be on Zoom, but nonetheless, they're with their kids' baseball, soccer, and all that. So I say that to say this. People think that we're crazy. Oh, is that one of those things where you recruit? And then I look at WFG and I think CEO to EVC. Those are people that want to franchise the business. All right? I don't want to just sell life insurance. I never came to the BPM and said, man, this looks like an amazing place to sell life insurance. Who would have thought that's what this was? This is what I'm always looking for. Neither does an owner of McDonald's think, hamburgers? I dream about them all day. Like, you get what I'm saying? Entrepreneur mentality is a little bit different. And you're going to fall in love with the financial business. You'll fall in love with it. All right. I mean, I'll never want to do anything else. The impact you make, the low capital, barrier of entry, the upside potential on the back end, the education I'm going to get and give to my kids. I mean, I love the industry, but I didn't join for that. I joined for what it would give me. And now I fell in love now that I'm here. And then the business model is different than a New York Life. The people here, the leaders, and I'm not using New York Life as if they're a bad company. I just use them. But the people here are different. Like, we would do calls for each other to help each other grow. You got people taking pictures with Stedman, and they just signed the code number 88. My code number 885JO. We signed it just like everybody else. But how did we approach it? We want to franchise it. The SMDs are like the brokers, the owner of a McDonald's. They run their own location, they run their own office, and then associate, senior associate, MD, that's all the way up. Those are like the worker bees, so to speak. Now, the beautiful thing in WFG is we started there. I know how to close. I know how to follow up 25 times until the person finally shows up to the meeting and then they quit the next day. I know how all that stuff goes. I know how somebody says, I'm getting in my car right now. I'm driving to the office. Yeah, 3550 Stevens Creek. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, you never see them and hear from them ever again. I know how all that stuff goes. I know how you close the sale. The clients loved it. You come home, you tell your wife, you tell your kids, man, we got this going on. We're going to Disneyland. And then you wake up the next morning, there's a voicemail from the same number saying, we've been thinking. And I know what that's like. I know what it's like when you got a sale that's going to close and it charges back. But you know what? We didn't have a vision to stay in that business. We knew we were going to franchise this sucker. So as I wrap up, I want you to ask yourself, as we embark on this mission at the best time ever, but the employee mindset's still the employee mindset. You know what's going to happen? People are going to go back to their jobs. at a reduced income, tuck their tail between their legs, men, because that's all I'm speaking about, tuck their tail between their legs. They just took food out of from their family's kitchen, right? They just took money from their kids' college education. They just took money away from their daughter's dream wedding, and we're going to go back to our job with our tail tucked between our legs. Our income's cut, going to get taxed up the wazoo because of this whatever new proposal of a new stimulus package they're putting on, when WFG is the only one you need, right? And they're going to go back to work and they're going to say, thank you, boss. I'm glad I still got my job. See, we're not, I mean, I guess you got to get slapped out of that mentality. Thank God you still got your job. You got to go start to own the company so you never got to worry about that stuff. See, who thinks that way? The people at the bottom, the ones that don't make the same amount of money. Good people, God-fearing people, hardworking, humble, honest, honorable people. Wrong mindset when it comes to deriving an income. Because we want a nation of workers, not a nation of thinkers. We're challenging you to think. These self-development books are challenging us to think and teaching us to think. So if I was to go to Mr. McDonald's, Mr. Remax, and I said, Mr. Remax, I want to have what you have. I want to have this empire that you've built, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently, because this is how our recruits tell us, right? I'm not going to recruit anybody. I'm not too interested. I'm thinking about going about it this way. Mr. Remax will kick you out of his office, and the next time he ever sees you, even if there isn't COVID, he's going to make sure you have a face mask on when you walk into his building, because he wants nothing to do and he hopes you're not contagious. Now, if I was to talk to the agent at the bottom, let me change the conversation. I go to Mr. Remax and I say, Mr. Remax, I want to have what you have. I want to have a massive empire. I want to have generational wealth. I'm willing to earn my stripes. I'm willing to pay my price. And my thinking was, I'm going to go recruit people. I'm going to go find like-minded people, and we're going to multiply this thing. What do you think about that? Mr. Remax would say, good thinking. That's exactly what I did. How do you think I got where I'm at? Now we go talk to the agent. Or we go talk, let's go to McDonald's. I go to McDonald's, I say, I want to have a corporation like you. I'm going to go recruit people who want to have a ownership in a business. We're going to grow this thing all throughout the United States and then go into different countries. I want to have an empire just like you. The owner of McDonald's would say, that's exactly what I did. But if you told the owner of McDonald's you're not going to recruit, he would slap you and kick you out of his office. And then make sure you come in a radiation hazmat suit next time you ever want to talk to him, because he wants to ensure your mindset is not contagious. But then you go to employee, flipping the burgers, right? Minimum wage, struggling during COVID-19. I guess their McDonald's still open, but you get what I'm saying. You say, Mr. Employee, I want to be like, I'm not going to recruit anybody. I'm just going to be, I don't want to recruit anybody. I think that's kind of weird. I just want to flip the burgers and do all, you know what the employee's going to say? Yeah, I mean, me too. That's exactly what I did. So if you go to a fork in the road and you go right, the people that went left are going to think you're crazy. If you come to a fork in the road and you go left, the people that went right are going to think you're crazy. And if you stand there looking at the fork in the road, contemplating on which side you're going to go, both sides are going to call you lazy and indecisive. So somebody's always going to say something. But do you want the corporation to think you're crazy? Or do you want them to think you're on the right track? Or do you want the broke employees to think we're crazy? Or do we want them to think that we're on track? So as I sign off from this and we do a little Q&A, I started to realize I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I just have common sense. And I'm like, okay, if my broke friends are telling me this is never going to work, that's exactly why I'm going to go do it, because I don't want what they got. And then you start to talk to broke people and they're like, oh, I would never recruit. Oh, talk to my friends and family. And you talk to rich people like, man, yeah. How do we get started? Man, I could see the opportunity. I know a lot of people. And I'm like, is it really just thinking? And it really just boils down to the way people think. So we're in the business, guys, where you can build it however you want to. It doesn't mean you're a bad person if you don't want to recruit. It doesn't mean any of that stuff. It basically just means, you have a chance. And guess what? Even if you don't want to do the meetings, you don't see yourself speaking on stage and all that stuff, you can recruit me, you can recruit John, and we'll go do your meetings for you. We're already coded, but you get what I'm saying? So start to think about possibilities. And when we get out of quarantine, I can hear the song, who let the dogs out, right? Oh, we're all out there. Be prepared for the next time something like this comes and you can say, I did it. And all your family's comfortable. You got money saved beyond your wildest imagination. You're safe, secure. You got toilet paper like John behind them. and we're not going anywhere. So, so thank you, John. I just wanted to share some ideas on what's made us secure during COVID-19, and hopefully that helped a lot of your folks.
Wow. 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 All I got to say, let me show you guys my next PowerPoint slide right here. All I got to say is this, man. Mic drop, right? I mean, like mic drop. I don't know where my slide just went, but seriously, like that's a mic drop right there, man. Boom. Thank you, Paul. For those of you that are listening right now, tell me, was that not like spectacular? Like literally, Paul just gave you guys so many nuggets right now, like unselfishly poured out his heart to you guys, gave you nuggets to really help you grow in this business. I mean, if you listen to all the stuff that he was just talking about right now, it was like, and really read in between everything he was saying, there was so many intangible stuffs in there, like the stuff that can change your business, you know. Paul, you mic drop, bro. Mic drop. I mean, I don't know what to say right now. Should we just thank you guys. Join us next week on Tuesday, everybody. No, I'm that was awesome. My phone is blowing up right now. I can see my phone. People are texting me right now. Holy shit. Oh my God. Okay. Just speechless. So thank you guys for texting me all that right now. Paul, let's just do a couple Q&A here real fast. I know we've got some Q&A. Let's see here. Let me put my old man's glass here. Let's see here. Let's see here. First one. Okay, here. This comes from Rick Ziegler. Good question. Do you think it is possible to run a WFG business, soup to nuts, virtually even after the pandemic? Do you think this that is where our business is heading? Good question.
I think we're proving that it is possible. Everybody now knows that Zoom, like before DocuSign, it was like, what is that? They lagged. They never DocuSigned the documents. Now people know what DocuSign is. So I think we're evolving into that era. However, it's not the same energy. Okay. When you're around a human, you can feel their vibration. You can feel their frequency. And when you have collective, it's like in a stadium, you have collective energy. This is on a whole nother subject, right? But I like breaking stuff down and looking how it works. But when you have that, that will never be replaced. So can you build a company like this? Absolutely. Can you grow it? But I think we still need to have gatherings, because like watching a concert is not the same as going to a concert. And so, and then meeting with your people and hanging out with your people. And I wouldn't want to do Zooms with my son. I want to sit there and feel his energy. You know what I mean? And so, so we're raising our company. So yes and no, but you will be limiting yourself when somebody who's willing to do both. I think the people that are willing to do both will beat the people that are only willing to do one or the other now. Yeah.
Well said. Very good. Shin Roland just said, you are so much wisdom, Paul. Thank you. What are the top 3 books you recommend to help change their language of speaking?
Oh, well, honestly, I didn't, almost all the books, but because like you'll just start to develop that vocabulary. So that's what I did. But I like the books that are about the way you think, which almost all the self-development books are. Think and Grow Rich, The Magic of Thinking Big, Mind Power in the 21st Century, 177 Mental Toughness Secrets of the World Class. I just read a book, Start With Why, with Simon Sinek. There's another book, The Laws of Thinking. That's another great book, The Laws of Thinking by Bishop Bernard. And it goes through biblical principles. But so these are some of the books that maybe it'll help you. The book that really changed my perception, that really shot me into this world of thinking this way and knowing that we can shift that and change your reality, is a book called The Answer by John Assaraf. The first half of the book, the second half teaches you how to start a business, but that first half I was like, no way. I now know why my friends never joined me. It's not my presentation. It wasn't me. And so guys, start to read books, develop your vocabulary. But I've also, I watch a lot of YouTube and stuff like that, and just start to learn from professionals that are great at what they do, how they talk. And I just kind of study that. WFG, guys, you study all the leaders in WFG and you will get all the WFG lingo you would ever need.
Yeah, Totally agree. Great. Raymond Rojas is asking, how did you make one of your biggest fears one of your best assets in public speaking?
Well, I just did it. I know it sounds weird. Like the only way you can overcome a fear is you confront the fear.
Yeah.
Like that's it. Like if I'm still scared of spiders. I haven't confronted those yet. Heights, still scared of heights, you know, but that's not my, if I was a spiderologist, maybe I would have confronted spiders and still be afraid of public speaking. I heard this is a business of words, not numbers. So coming in, you think it's numbers. So I was like, I got to do it. And I just did it. And one time my leader, Eric, said, you're beating all the people, because they all look so intimidating. Everybody looks so scary. I'm like, why would they listen to me? And then you find out hardly anybody does anything, and you just do a little bit and you beat everybody. And he was like, you're beating all these people. I was like, really? That guy looks like my dad. That guy looks like my grandpa. Like, I'm beating them. That looks so much more distinguished than me. And that's sort of realizing I do got value. So I believe once I realized I had value based on my results, I then felt like I had a responsibility, but I also had the power to share that value, and people should listen. So get good at what you do, and then watch how everything flows out with confidence as if you've been doing it your whole life.
Yeah, awesome. All right, let me just one question here. Last one is, what do you think when people don't want to make a decision during these uncertain times? Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, the question is like, what do you do? It says, what do you do when people don't want to make a decision during these times?
I mean, I try to find out what the objection is. So is the concern, well, I might go back to my job, or my concern. So you just say, so what exactly is it that's kind of holding you back? And sometimes you can't find the objection. You can just say, look, what situation would need to exist in order for you to say, let's go, let's get started right now. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
And then they'll tell you. And you can't tell what it is. Some of it's uncertainty. Some of it, they don't have any money. Some of it's, you know, they don't think they can sell. And that is, you know what it is? It's the same uncertainty that people have when COVID-19 is over. Because they've been given these it's like they're professionals at giving these objections regardless of the circumstances, right?
Right.
And you know what it all is? They don't believe in themselves. They don't believe that they can do it. If somebody believed that they could do it, they would do it regardless of whatever infectious disease is running out there, right? So letting them see that you will be the one to do the presentations. You just sit there. You can even turn off your camera if you're nervous. I will do the talks. So if I do it for you, and you, with the people you know and the skills that I have, if I do the work and you introduce me to the people, can you see how that can be something that can help you become successful? Or some people say, well, I don't believe I can do it. Do you think that I can do it? Yeah. So if you get the people in front of me and I do the talking, will you cash the paycheck? You got to promise me you'll cash the paychecks when we send them to you. Will you do that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I can do that. So guys, at the end, thank you for, that's a great question to finish it off with, but people don't believe in themselves. And that's the number one reason for leadership. And that's the reason you have to keep it simple, because that will allow them to start to believe they can do it. And then you let them know you're going to hold them by the hand. You're going to take them step by step. Let's just do one appointment. And if you don't like the way it goes, let's part company and you never have to do this. But at least let's do one to see if this can work for you. Is that fair enough? And now you got it.
Good. Very good. Paul, my God, thank you so much, man, for joining. I know you got your own probably meetings with your organization today, and you sacrificed time with them to be on this webinar with us. So I appreciate your time, your generosity. And again, say hello to Gabby for me. Be safe as we continue to quarantine in certain cities and counties here in the California. Wish you all the best, bro. Let's connect here again, and appreciate you being on the webinar.
Thanks for having me, John. Be safe. Give
Right,
Arlene our regards.
Right on. Bravo. All right, guys. There you go, Paul Hart. Thank you for being there. Hey, listen, guys, I just wanted to go over a couple slides here. Do me a favor. Follow Paul Hart, you guys, at Paul J. This is his Instagram at Paul J. Hart. And Paul actually gives lots of nuggets and on Instagram. So follow him and send him a message and thanking him for being on here today. And again, to take the time today to post this whole webinar on your Facebook, Instagram, pique people's curiosity in what you're talking about. Have them join us. on our next webinar, right? This afternoon, you guys, just so you know, it's not too late to register right now. A guy named Angel Rivera is going to help you build your brand, helping you build your brand. That's going to be today, 2 to 4 o'clock. There is a nominal investment. I think it's like 40, 50 bucks. And he'll spend 2 hours in teaching you how to brand right now, sitting at your home. So tune into this today. It's in 2 hours. Make sure you join us for that. And then next week let me go back again. It's tgrworldtour.com. Make sure that you guys register for this right now and learn how to brand yourself. Okay, it's so important to know how to brand. Again, time change. We got a time change next week on Tuesday. We're moving our time slots for Tuesday Talks to now 6:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Next week, we've got a very special guest. One of the members of a group called Pentatonics will be joining us. He is a Grammy Award-winning group. And Kevin is going to give you some amazing, amazing content next week on Tuesday. Please join us at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time. And again, for those of you that have been calling and asking to stream the movie Think and Grow Rich, you're just going to go to johnshinmovie.com. You can actually download the movie for $5. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. It's like it's actually $24.95 right now on different sites with a special discount. It's like $17.95. And today, right now, during the pandemic, we're offering this movie to you guys and your family and friends for basically $5. All right. For those of you that want to get a hold of me, here you go. This is my QR code. This is my phone number. Just take your cell phone, go to your camera. You're going to scan this. You'll see my name pop up and my phone number pop up on the very top. Please feel free to reach out to me anytime. I mean, if there's anything that we can have a discussion to help you out, just feel free to reach out to me. We're really just here to help you guys during these crazy times. And I also want you to create your own QR code by going to www. I promised you earlier this morning or this afternoon when we started this webinar that I'll teach you for you to create your own QR code. So what you're going to go to www.goqr.me, goqr.me. Now, once you get to that website, you're going to see this screen. And when you get to this screen, what I want you to do is there's a little contact icon where it's circled here in red. You're going to click that and then put in all your information. And then when you go to the very bottom, it'll just say create. And now you've got your own QR code. And that's going to be your modern day electronic business card. And you probably want to put that on just all your content, get it out there. And now you got your own QR code. And now you're the coolest now. Start sharing that with the younger generation and millennials. They're going to think you're the coolest person ever. Now, what I want you to do is I got some homework for you. Those of you that are joining us for the very first time, my homework for you is this. Get with the person who invited you today and get more details about how to make more money. Okay, I want you to get more details on how money works. And I want you to reach out to the person to talk to me directly, and maybe we can schedule a three-way webinar or whatever it is. And I just want you guys to take advantage of this. All these things right now are happening for you to take advantage of the opportunities that are available to you, okay? I want to thank all of you for joining us this morning, this afternoon, and I hope you enjoyed this wonderful program with Paul Hart and myself. Make the best of it this weekend. Don't go and binge on TV and watch all the crazy stuff on the news. Go watch this movie or read this book and do something big with your life. I want to thank you guys. We look forward for some of you that are going to join us this afternoon at 2 o'clock. Look forward to seeing you guys on the branding course. Again, go register at tgrworldtour.com. Until next Tuesday, we'll see you all and have a blessed and productive day. Take care, everyone. We love you.